Because we all are sewing on different sewing machines, we all have different feet to sew with. But I'm a person who likes to make the best use of my feet to help me with my sewing. Now, the foot that I'm going to use to stay stitch this collar on is a 1/8 inch foot, because I want to sew my stay stitching 1/8 of an inch from the raw edge of the dress and the collar. The reason I would rather do this than sew it 1/4 of an inch away is because I'm going to sew my collar to my garment with 1/4 of an inch, and there might be places where I might miss, and then I'd have to go back with the seam ripper and take those out. Where the 1/8 inch foot will sew it halfway in between. If you do not have an 1/8 inch, then use one of your other feet and move the needle position as far as you can to the right, and this will be close to 1/8 of an inch. And now I'm ready to sew again. Now you will see that my collar is stay stitched to the neckline of my dress. The center backs are matched and the front marks are exactly where they're supposed to be. Now, the next step is to put off the excess string right here. The next step is to take my lining and fold it back down over my yoke, right sides together. Just getting rid of these little threads. Fold it on the marked fold line, and you will notice, I want you to see this. Here's your fold line. So when you fold it back, there's going to be that 1/2 inch right there with where your collar doesn't come to the edge. And the purpose of this is for your lap at the front of the dress, so that you will have a place for the two front edges to overlap each other for your buttons and buttonholes, and the collar will not lap. Now, as I sew this on, I'm going to match my shoulder seams. Right there. Now you will notice that I'm sewing with a cranberry red thread, and I'm doing this so that you can see what I'm doing. And now I'm ready to sew around the neck. Now, for this, I'm going to change back to my 1/4 inch foot, because I want this seam to be 1/4 of an inch. Again, back stitch at the beginning and the end to keep any rip outs. Now, our neck is all sewn to the lining. So, yoke front is sewn to the back yoke. Here are your wrap-around front yokes. And our next step is to trim the neck. I'd like to trim half of that off. You shouldn't clip it, because a clip weakens a seam unless it's absolutely necessary to clip. So I'm going to trim this off, and I'm going to turn it to the right side and press it, and then I'll be ready to show you what the finished product looks like. This is what your yoke looks like after you have made the yoke, inserted the collar into the seam. You will notice there is no bias band that has to be put on because the collar is inserted between the yoke and yoke lining. Another thing I want to show you is how pretty a wraparound yoke is rather than having a seam up the front. Now, I have matched all of the yoke edges up, and see, this is the fold line. The collar stops at the center back line, and it will fasten for girls right over left, and you can pin it together like that while you're working on your other garment pieces, and you will see that the collars meet at the center front. And so you have a beautifully professional looking yoke that is so easy to